D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So for this episode, I am going to be reviewing the podcast Lore. Now, I first got introduced to this podcast by my brother, and the thing that interests me was, it was very supernatural. It was about the supernatural, but it also, each episode is around 25 to 30 minutes, and, sometimes, it's nice to, when you only have 20 minutes and everything. I like to listen to it while I'm at work, and the last 20 minutes is usually when I don't have anything, so I would listen to an episode of this and everything. So I listened to it. Now I have to say, I do like the subject matter of the supernatural. I don't believe in that stuff. I don't believe in ghosts or cryptozoological sightings or anything like that. But I do like the whole lore around it, and I like the supernatural. I like those kinds of stories and everything, even though it's not real. As far as the stories go, I do like most of the stories. Some of them aren't really ghost stories. They're just, I believe it was episode 105. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was one of the more recent episodes where it was basically a murder story, but like the guy thought his house was haunted and really it wasn't, and it had nothing to do with ghosts really. but it was fine, because that's like the exception, not the rule. Other than that, the music for the podcast was, I believe it's Chad Lawson that does the music for it, is really good. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was very atmospheric, what he did with the music, and I did enjoy that. I also think that the writing for this show is really well written. It's very good. I think the host, Aaron Mahnke, does write and produce all of each show. And I think that as a writer, he does a good job. And I really think that the episodes were written well. Now, as far as Aaron Mahnke himself as the person that reads off the stories, I'm sorry, but he sucks. He just sucks. Oh my gosh, he is so boring. His voice is very monotone the whole time. I was just like, it's a good thing this is only 20 minutes, because if it was longer than that, I'd have to shut it off and come back to it, because this story is not interesting with this guy reading it. I was like, geez, oh Pete, put me to sleep. That was very disappointing, kind of like episode 104. I believe that's Disappointment was the name of that episode. Gosh, I wish I would have wrote that down. I should have wrote that in my notes, but he was the worst part of the podcast, was him reading off his own stories. I didn't like him reading his own stories, because I don't think that he puts enough enthusiasm into the reading of his stories, and the subject matter. I don't think, it just wasn't like I said, it was very boring when he would read. It was snooze fest. So, as this podcast was going on, I was like, this would make better for a book, because he's such a good writer, or a TV series. Just not have him in it. Which then I found out that there are books, and there is a TV series on Amazon, which I haven't checked out. I do have Amazon Prime, but I don't think I'm going to check it out, because I guess Aaron Mahnke is in that too, and like I said, I just don't find his voice, I just find him very boring. The books, though, I didn't buy any of them as of yet. I might buy them. I don't know. If it's got these same stories into it, why would I need to buy it in a book when I just heard it? And so as I was listening to this, I went online and was kind of researching it as I was listening to this podcast, and I found out that there is some hot controversy, or there was, it's a little bit older now, but apparently there is a podcast called Sword and Scale, and that is hosted by Mike Boudet, and that is a true crime podcast, and long story short, I guess the Boudet guy posts a lot of stuff on social media that Aaron Mahnke and then another podcast host, Robin O'Sherdry, I think that's how you say it, and she does the podcast Undisclosed. I haven't heard that podcast either, but I guess they got him kicked off the show, because as I was listening, I know, as I was listening, I was checking all this stuff out, and I guess they got him kicked off of his podcast and everything. I didn't go too much into the drama because I was like, whatever, it's not that big a deal. But I will be listening to Disclosed and Sword and Scale to see if those podcasts are any good. But I just I love drama as long as I'm not involved in everything. So I love this and everything. So you can check out all that. You can read it up online. It's very fascinating. So, in conclusion, is Lore a good podcast? It's mediocre, and it's not because the writing is so good, and the music is really good. The music, I would say, is the best part of it, but it's Aaron Mahnke is my problem with this podcast. It's just it's very, like I said before, he was just very kind of monotone-ish when he read. I just wasn't interested in hearing him talk anymore. And everything. It's like when you're in a conversation with somebody at dinner and they're talking and you're like, okay, this is interesting and everything, and then they just keep talking and talking about the same thing. And you're like, all right, well, I don't want to talk to you anymore because you're boring and everything. And that's how I felt about these podcasts. It's like after 15 minutes, I was just like, man, this guy is starting to put me to sleep and everything. So, would I suggest you to listen to this? Sure, if you're into the supernatural, by all means, have at it. I think that you'll find these stories interesting. Some of them not so much, some of them a little bit more than others. But I would say if you're into supernatural stuff, I would suggest listening to this podcast. If you're not into supernatural stuff, then don't bother. But yeah, like I said, out of 1 out of 10, I'd give it a 5. Because it wasn't bad, but it wasn't that great. All right, so tell me, what did you guys think about the Lore podcast? Go ahead and write your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later. Bye! Hey nerds, if you like this video, go ahead and click that Geek What icon and subscribe. And if you like this video, join me every Thursday where you can check out ranks and reviews, videos just like this.